everyone, I'm Taylor with Therabrand, and we are happy to be bringing you our Living Colorfully series. We are talking about the second chakra today, the Sacral Chakra, Svadhistana. It's a beautiful orange color, feminine, creative, sensual energy, and I'm so excited to introduce Stephanie Filardi of the Bronxville Wellness. She is a wonderful person who I've gotten to chat with over the last few weeks. She's an entrepreneur, mentor, author, yogi, shaman, and podcast host. And she's inspired to live in a world where people laugh more, love more, and choose joy as a way of life. So Stephanie, I'm so excited to have you on today. And I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more, a little bit about you.
Great. Thanks for having me, Taylor. I'm excited that you're offering this to the world. I think it's needed. So thank you. So a little bit about me. I guess in the last 17 years, I've been dedicating my life to wellness, mainly because of the things in my life that I've had to experience. One of those being the traumatic loss of my father to a heart attack. And at the time, I was working in the corporate world and I wasn't really healthy and I wasn't really spiritually connected. So I had a lot of what I'll call unhealthy coping mechanisms. And after losing my father, it was like a wake-up call. And I realized that not only did I need and want to make some changes in my life from a health perspective, but I really wanted to do something in the world where I can make a difference. So that started me on the journey of actually nutrition was my first kind of foray into the wellness world. And then from there, it led to becoming a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, wanted to then learn about energy healing. So I studied shamanism. And then now today I've incorporated all that into my coaching program, which includes everything related to body, mind, and spirit.
That's so cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about, where shamanism comes in for you?
Yes, absolutely. So actually for me, I wasn't planning on becoming a shaman or studying shamanism, but as always, life presents opportunities. And I was traveling to Costa Rica and I was feeling at the time that I wanted to give my clients something a little bit more to help them from a spiritual perspective. And I didn't necessarily want to go back to school and kind of become a therapist. So in Costa Rica, contemplating this, and I have a session with a shaman. And it changed my life. So she did something that pretty much, I guess to keep it simple, she reset my entire nervous system. And I believe I kind of released years, decades, and probably lifetimes of trauma. And I was like, wow, I need to study this. I need to learn this and ultimately bring it to clients as another modality of healing.
That's amazing. Shamanism can sound a little scary for new people. Can you tell us a little bit about what, a shaman session is like and, what you do? Can you kind of give us a little sneak peek into, what a session with you would be like with that?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So basically the way I like to think about shamanism is a way of living. So there are principles. It's a very ancient form of wisdom teachings, goes through all different cultures. I happen to study, with teachers from Peru. So it's really a way of looking at the world. So we deal with, I'd like to say as a shaman, we travel from this very physical world of form to the unseen world, out to the universe and the cosmos to retrieve information, to do journeys for clients to help them get more information about maybe things that are holding them back. We also do journeys into the future to help people gain information about resources and tools they can use now that will help support them on their journey. And then there's other things that we can do as well in terms of, clearing the chakras. So a session is really about what the person is showing up with. So it's a combination though of energy healing, getting information, coaching. I also do a lot of, which I love to do, shamanic readings, which I use the readings as like a divination tool to get more information about an area in somebody's life that maybe they are confused about or is a challenge. So it's a very robust, a very robust practice and teaching modality and healing modality.
So they kind of show up with their own, needs or things that they want to address. So you're not really diving into things that, they're not ready to confront. It's more things that they've come to you to seek help with.
Absolutely. I believe, and I have believed this from the beginning, that whatever someone is booking a session, that exactly what's supposed to come up for them will come up for them. Like exactly what they're ready to, to do. And it can be a very deep practice, but again, it depends on the person's intention. So I don't like to overthink it. I just trust that it works.
That's awesome. And so, how did you get started on your spiritual path? You mentioned that you, were working in the corporate world and you had a traumatic loss of your father and there was, health involved. So how did that lead you from, studying healthy practices to, shamanism?
I guess for me, I've always been, I don't want to say seeker, but maybe that's a word people understand. I've always been hungry for learning, and I always will be. And I felt like there was something missing in my life, even though I was raised Catholic, and I personally do believe in God. I felt like I kind of lost that connection for a variety of reasons. And maybe was turned off with the idea of religion, but I was still looking for connection beyond myself to the creator, to God. So what shamanism did for me was really kind of bridge that gap and kind of bring me back actually to the universe and the energy of creation and this place that I feel that we are really all one. And it was for me very fulfilling. So that was a big part of, I was looking for something and I knew it wasn't out there. I knew it was inside of me. And shamanism and the yoga and the meditation and all the other things I've studied helped me bring me back to myself and my essential nature.
And so what did that path look like? I mean, you mentioned yoga and, healthy eating and everything. So exactly, can you tell us, what that what those baby steps looked like for people who, as you were starting your journey?
Mm-hmm. So I guess for me, because I was already in the wellness field, I came at it from more of a practitioner approach in terms of getting, doing trainings. And then of course, when you're doing trainings, you're also a student and you receive sessions. So I guess it depends on the person. If someone is already in the wellness field, which I do work with a lot of people who are in the wellness field that want to offer shamanism or some of these tools to their clients. So it's about experiencing it. There are some people that I went through my trainings with that actually did the trainings and never wanted to be a practitioner. They just simply wanted to use the wisdom in their life. So I always say, if you're listening to this and it's clicking with you, then okay. Then the next step might be research it or have a session. So it really kind of depends on intention. But like I said, I was looking for something to add to my wellness practice. When I went for my shamanic session years ago, I didn't expect it to be that. But when I went, I was like, wow, this was so powerful. This is something I want to add in.
That's so cool. So what prompted you? What did it look like when you were deciding to go see a shaman in Costa Rica?
Pretty messy. Well, being in Costa Rica. I had been intuiting that I wanted to bring more feminine energy into my life. And in the past, I had worked with people in the wellness field, I guess therapists or mentors, and I had a lot of masculine energy, and it was very kind of a therapeutic approach. And then when I was in Costa Rica, I was just feeling the energy of the beautiful space and literally opened up the brochure and I knew just this is what I need to do. So I was just at a point in my life, again, where I was searching for myself still. And I was also searching to bring something more valuable to my clients, because really we're mirrors. So as I evolve and I grow and I learn, then I'm more valuable to the people that I serve and I have more tools.
And so in terms of the energy that you were, we're talking about the sacral energy today. And so that's all about creation and sensuality. And so I would feel that has a lot to do with, your particular path. Can you speak to that energy a little bit?
Absolutely. So a lot of us, myself included, when we first start out doing energy work, there's a lot of stuff in our lower chakras. So in this case, the second chakra, Svadhistana, that needs healing. So the second chakra, for those of you who might not know, is really all about, as Taylor said, it's about our creativity, our sexuality, our sensuality, and also very importantly, our emotion. So this is the place where we store, and it's right below the navel. It's the place where we store a lot of past trauma. So it could be something that happened when we were a kid or other lifetimes, if you believe in that. And also just the day-to-day that we accumulate. So what ends up happening is that it gets stuck. And then when it gets stuck, it puts us in that fear or contracted mode. And unless we realize that's what's going on, we continue to live from that space. So what's beautiful about working, and I tend to, a lot of the people that I see, that tends to be where we're doing a lot of the work, 1, 2, first, second, third chakras, and clearing. So it's an opportunity to really, when you get in contact with it, to bring forth who you really are, right? Self-expression. But the only way we can really do that is if we clear out the past.
Amazing.
Right?
So
if we clear out the past.
What connected you to this energy in particular?
I think for me personally, that's the area that I carried most of my stuff, right? I think there was a lot of things, and I didn't have a bad childhood. We all have stuff, but I feel like the trauma from losing my dad so unexpectedly, just kind of like, and a couple other things that I experienced as a child, maybe feeling like rejected because I was like dorky and smart and I didn't feel like everybody else, and I kind of felt misunderstood. So, you know, all of that was in this part of my body and stored, and I felt like so often I came very like from a place of fear in my life, and I didn't realize it, how much it contracted me and constricted me and really blocked me from creating the life I wanted. So for me, it was a very personal thing, and it's also because I'm very creative and I'm very in touch with my sensuality and sexuality that, and relationships, right? This is about courting with people, that for me, it's just such a powerful part of my being, that when it's out of balance, I don't even know myself. And when it is in balance, I'm thriving and I'm love and I'm free, and it feels just joy and bliss.
Yeah. And so it's really like you mentioned, it's really about that interpersonal, that first time where you see an other person, and you start to kind of relate to them. So like in what ways can people kind of equate that, because, you know, as they're looking at this energy and learning about it?
Mm-hmm. So basically, one of the things, so the second chakra is the color orange, as you said, and it's the water element. So I like to, when I teach it, when I talk about it, whenever we feel like we're not in flow, meaning we feel like maybe we're not in our own flow of our life, maybe we feel like there's something that's not aligned. We say we want one thing in our head, but yet our life doesn't represent that, right? A lot of times that's because we're not really connecting to that part of ourselves. So this is really all about flow, and there's practices that I'm happy to share, that we can do to really kind of check in and build and develop our intuition, no matter where you are on the spiritual path, right? We're all energy beings. So there's no, you don't have to know anything about it. This could be the first time you're hearing about it to actually have an experience. And I think that's always the best way to learn and to integrate, is to actually have an experience of it.
Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and give that a try?
Okay, awesome. So if you're somewhere where you can either sit or lay down, I'm just going to lead you through a couple minute, really energy clearing and connection to that chakra. So find yourself sitting comfortably. And then let's start by engaging the breath. So taking a few breaths in through the nose. And then exhale, letting it go out of your mouth. And doing that a few times. So inhaling, filling up. Exhale, release, let go. And then take your right hand, and place it on your belly, so just below your navel. Begin to connect right now to this energy center. So bringing your attention and your awareness to this space. Just kind of noticing what's happening as you do that. Maybe something, maybe nothing. And as you continue to breathe and soften, I want you to set an intention that you'll bring some balance to this chakra right now. And maybe there's even some wisdom this chakra is going to provide as I speak. So there's nothing you have to do. Just listen to my words. Continue to breathe. Each exhalation, there's a softening in the body. So feeling the body returning to this place of flow. The breath flowing in and flowing out, nice and easy. And now I want you to envision the color orange, this beautiful, fiery, bright orange color. I want you to envision that color now in that space where your hand is, the second chakra. And imagine that orangey color is now orange water. So there's this beautiful basin of orange water filling the belly. And as you feel it in your belly, it's swooshing around, and as it swishes around, it's cleansing anything stored from the past, anything you've been holding, maybe even to the low back, right? So feeling that beautiful orange flow of water swishing around, washing clean, washing away anything in that chakra that you've been holding, allowing that process to happen, allowing the flow to return. And as we rebalance this chakra, as you release stored emotion, as you bring balance back to your own energy being, bringing your attention to your energy being, I want you to connect now to that place of your own self-expression and creativity and sensuality and sexuality. And I want you to imagine in your mind's eye yourself dancing. So imagine yourself dancing, opening up, moving in a way that feels good. So seeing yourself dancing so you feel completely free, allowing this energy to move and to move you in your own dance. And as you see yourself dancing, noticing if there's a message. What is it that this dance wants to tell you about your life? What is it that this dance of the sacral chakra wants to teach you about how you can nourish this part of your being? Whether it's managing emotions, giving space for your creativity, your sexuality, your self-expression. So what's the dance and what is it teaching you? Maybe it's teaching you simply to dance or to be in the flow. So allowing that wisdom to come to you, to come through you, feeling that energy and that wisdom now coming into the actual belly through the hand with your intention. And then finding that breath once again. And as you breathe in and out, seeding that wisdom into the second chakra, seeding that dance, seeding that new way of being that you've created in this short time into the second chakra. So that anytime you need to be reminded to nurture that part of you, you can come back and breathe. You can place your hand here on your belly, envision that color orange, and reconnect to your dance. And then slowly, as you're ready, you can release the hands. And then gently allow the eyes to float open. Notice the effect of that. Trusting that your body remembers and that you'll have time later if you want to jot anything down that was revealed to you.
Wow, Stephanie, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel like I'm always gonna feel like my chakra is now just gonna be like a little orange, like little inner child, just doing a fun, really fun dance. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. That's awesome.
So, obviously this is such a beautiful fluid energy, and you talked about nurturance. So what are other ways that we can kind of nurture this energy and really support ourselves as we're kind of figuring out what it is and how to work with it?
I think the number one thing that I want to say is to be gentle with yourself. Right? I think it's important that we set intention to be gentle and to really be aware and start becoming curious. So if you're new to this, or even if you've been on the path for a little while, we're always growing and we're always evolving. So really nourishing is about, for me, it's about getting quiet and still, lighting candles, maybe burning some incense, and connecting to myself, connecting to my body, and trusting that when I place my hands on the body part and when I direct my attention there, that the wisdom will come. Other ways to specifically nourish this chakra is wear the color orange. Bring orange into your life, right? So color, right? You know this, abundant color. So have little symbols to remind you. So really bring in that color into your world, into your home, and make it beautiful and sensual. So nourishment has many forms and it's different for everybody. And as you continue to do these practices, you will also find ways in your curiosity and your creativity to say, oh, wow, I never thought it. Like I could dance for 5 minutes and that would feel so amazing. And I feel so empowered. I feel so sexy and strong.
Absolutely.
There's a playfulness,
dance party,
right?
Really?
Yes. So lots of ways. Being gentle and being curious, I would say, are the foundations, and trusting that you have it within you, and it's just about connecting in.
Oh, that's so cool. So, when people are connecting to you specifically, can you tell us a little bit more about how they can further their own internal practice and then also kind of work with you?
Absolutely. So in light of what's been going on with the COVID-19 pandemic, my physical business in Bronxville, New York has been closed. So I've actually started this virtual business, which I quite like. And it's something I've been wanting to do because there's something about having the virtual space, me being in my space, the person being in their space, that's really powerful. So what I've been offering is something called the Rebalance Session. And it's a really nice introductory session for us to, again, maybe do a reading, do some energy clearing, meditation, some coaching. It's kind of a fusion. And I developed it specifically because I felt like there isn't ever one thing for me. When someone comes to me, I have a lot of tools. Usually there's always a component of, centering and breathing, setting intention, working with what we have. And that's an initial. And then from there, I have a 9-month coaching program for people who are really up to creating things in their life that they want support around, using this holistic approach, using the body, mind, spirit approach, which we know the body, if it isn't healthy and energized, we really can't do anything, right? So,
So what does
yeah.
that 9-month program look like? Can you give us?
Ooh, it's juicy. So yeah, it's a combination of, again, looking at the things that we do to nourish our body. So nutrition, rest, and movement. That's one component. Then the mind component is really looking at our beliefs and our thoughts and those places that are maybe in shadows that limit us so that we can really go for what we want in our life. So that includes things like meditation, and that's really where the transformational coaching comes into place, because we really get to see, like, what is that belief of either I'm not enough or whatever it is that we tell ourselves. And then the spiritual component has to deal with how do we now, now that we're getting to know who we are and we're taking care of ourselves, how do we connect to the spiritual realm, what that is for us, and how do we become co-creators, and how do we really take it from the thought to actually having it happen. And I do get a little more structured in terms of there are goal setting, and there are different categories we look at: health and wellness, financial abundance, spirituality, and personal growth. So it's really for the person who wants to integrate those 3 components into a program where they're really going to commit to creating what they want, and they're going to actually have it happen. And if they're not having it happen, we get to see why.
That's amazing. So you really do get to start at a baseline and you build for those 9 months.
Yes.
That's really cool. So if someone is not able to, or still kind of curious, but doesn't know if they want to give 9 months, do you have other ways that they connect to you?
Yes, that was the introductory session that I was talking about. So anybody who's interested in, and even my courses, that introductory session is a great opportunity for us to get to know each other, for me to do some, again, intuition, reading, finding out, like, okay, what is it that we're going to co-create together, and does this work? And some people might do 3 of those sessions before they're ready. So I don't have a time frame. I'm here to serve and to transform lives. And really, something that's important for me to share is that, it's important that people feel seen and heard and know they matter. Yeah. And I feel like, I know from my own personal journey, I was quiet for many years for a whole host of reasons. And that people experience health, happiness, and freedom to be who they are. So that's really the foundation. My mission is to transform lives, and for people to really experience what it is to experience the joy of being, like truly feel that, because it's possible.
Yeah. And then in terms of, feeling that, you also you were talking about a self-study that you were kind of working on.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm launching that at the end of this month. It's a 30-day, it's called Rejuvenate Your Life. And it's a self-study program that looks at body, mind, and spirit. So every day you get an email that gives you one tip, one thing to implement. So it could be something as simple as drink water. Here's why. Or it could be something like, let's meditate for 5 minutes. Here's why. So it helps you to see some of your habits. So what are the things that I'm doing that are working? What are the things that are not working? And most importantly, what do I want to add in? Yeah. So it's a great entry level for really how I work, because as a coach and a mentor, I can't eliminate the body and I can't not talk about the spirit. So it's like, we're all one energy, right? So it's a great kind of entree to see like how it would be working with me.
Yeah. And I like that it's kind of a way for people to, you know, work with you and nurture, you know, what you're trying to help in them. So it's not just, it's not overwhelming, like one tip a day, something easy that people can immediately put into their lives. And so I think that's such a beautiful way to kind of open them up to that practice and to, you know, not having to be scared that they're jumping in, you know, too deep. It's a way to really get comfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm a big advocate of baby steps.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time, and we're always growing and we're always changing. And the most important thing is that we start where we are. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to accept. It's like, I want to be over there. And that's what we talk about in my podcast, right? Like, you know, I want to be over there, but you're here. The only way to get there is to fully be here. So a lot of the coaching actually comes, and the transformation comes when we finally can accept where we are. We don't have to like it, but we have to accept it. We get to accept it, because then when we accept it, energy is freed up. The energy of resistance is freed up to then be directed toward what it is we're up to creating.
Oh, that's so cool. I just absolutely adore that. So you also have a podcast, Mind the Gap podcast. So if someone wants to connect to you and hear more from you, you know, it's about navigating at certain times to live the life of your dreams. And, you know, I listened to a couple of the episodes and I absolutely adored them. So can you tell us a little bit more about like what you explore there?
Yes, thank you. So it's almost been a year actually since it's been up. I just one day I was like, you know what? I want to help people navigate the times in their life that I call the gap, mind the gap. So what that means for me is really those places where we're in uncertainty and unknown, which most people, the human condition, most of us are terrified of not knowing, right? The brain, the mind wants to know, the ego wants to know and feel secure. But that's really an illusion, because we never really know, as we're experiencing right now. So the Mind the Gap awakening is designed to help people navigate those uncertain times, whether they be in, you know, relationship or work or health, or what do I do with my life, or what's my purpose? So I cover the gamut of topics of things that I've had to deal with, that really is intended to help people navigate skillfully, and instead of being afraid of the gap, to actually welcome it, because it is the place of pure potential and possibility. And when we're skillful, we can actually manifest what we want in that energy. So instead of being afraid of it, we want to actually welcome it. So it's a paradox too. Right?
I absolutely love that. And I love that, you know, all of your energy has been so welcoming as you've kind of been chatting with us. So thank you so much for, you know, being here today and having these incredible conversations. We absolutely appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And all of our listeners, you guys can connect with Stephanie. I will include all of her links to be able to hear her podcasts, contact her for coaching. If you have any questions about, you know, how she kind of utilizes the energy and can help you utilize the energy and build and support it, I will be happy to include those in the links in our podcast. So thank you guys all so much. This has been such a beautiful journey. And thank you so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.